Time management, it's a real dilemma. It's a real problem in corporate America. It's a real problem in our professional lives. It is a major problem because we are all extremely busy and we usually don't learn it at home. Time gets away from all of us, and yet we all have the same amount of time, 40 hours in a week. We're all working with the same calendar. Because it doesn't stop, it's immovable, we have to learn to manage ourselves around it, because we're really almost not managing time. What we're managing is we're managing our priorities. The one skill that I'm going to talk about is one called triaging. Triaging your priorities. Most of us do approach time more reactive because it just pulls us. We almost feel like we just cannot get ahead. We will talk about some traps that in corporate America we all succumb to. It almost feels like we all went to the same class because we're all managing time in the same erroneous way. We're going to cover the weekly factor. If we cannot get any sense of progress in our week-to-week management of time, then really there is no point you having a 3-month goal plan. When you read the books, they all tend to start with this global thing of what are your life goals. And look, we are definitely going to cover that. But I tend to take a little bit of reverse approach because I believe that if we do not get ahead of our week-to-week routine and we get a hold of that, then there is no point creating these life goals and this pressure of what we want to do in the next 3 months or what we want to do in our lifetime or what are we trying to do in 5 years from now, and layer that on top of our week or routine that we can't seem to get ahead of. So I'm going to flip it over a little bit, but it's very doable. All right, so let me open it up.
I would like to hear more about procrastination, overcoming procrastination.
Okay, I'll tell you about that tomorrow. That's a good time management joke.
I struggle with interruptions and like prioritizing things.
Okay, interruptions and prioritizing. So we're going to cover procrastination. We're going to cover interruptions and prioritizing. So let's dive right into it. It's like a domino effect. In time management, you have a lot of different dominoes. Procrastination is one of them. Interruptions and prioritizing is another one. If you look at your workbook, take a look at the 12 elements of time management. And as I say them, I want you to rate them. Whether one is you're not good at it, 5, you're really good at it. I do have a self-assessment so you guys can take and score yourself. It gives you a guide that, okay, I'm pretty good at this and I'm not good at that. And at least it gives you a sense of direction. All right, so let's take a look at it. Number one is your attitude. So your mindset about time management. One of the mindsets about time management is I have so much work to do. I spend an hour and a half preparing in the morning. We have a different mindset. Our mindset is we have so much to do. I don't have time to prep. I have so much to do. I've got to stop every 4 hours and reorganize. What? I don't have time for that. Who's got time for that? It's like saying I have so much chopping of wood to do. I do not have time to sharpen the saw. That's a mindset. Benjamin Franklin said, life is made of time. Take care of your hours and life becomes more happy. All right, goals. Goals is the things that we want to accomplish. So if I say to you, hey, did you start your week with your goals? What are your goals this month? What are you and your family? What are your personal goals? What are your life goals? What are you hoping to accomplish? How long do you plan to be there? See, notice I went from minuscule, like what are you doing this week, to I could ask the question, hey, what's your goals for today? See, we think that goals need to be this super and large 10-year thing. Well, no, I mean, a good goal is, at the end of the day, I got to finish this report. And then after that, I got to do this and I got to do this. And I've got these 5, 7 things I have got to do today. We tend to come in the day and we don't have that very well organized. And then we look at our emails and it just explodes on us. And then we don't operate from goals. We tend to be more reactionary. So score yourselves in priorities. That has a lot to do with goals, okay? Here's the 5 things I need to do this week. Now, I got about another 8 or 9 things that I've got to do, but I'm going to treat those differently. And that's the word I'm going to have you guys learn. Just like in management and in leadership, the key word is alignment. In time management, the key word is triage. Another good way of saying is air traffic control. Triage. That one definitely emergency room. That one, you know what? Put them up in the emergency room. Put them in number 4. Okay, that one. No, I think that one can wait. Triage. Triage is being able to quickly analyze so we can determine what to do with things. The ones I'm about to mention go together. Prioritizing, analyzing, planning, and scheduling are very similar. Watch, because when I say, ooh, take that one to the emergency room. See, we just planned that. You see that? I put that on a list. I analyzed and I planned it. That one, hold off on that one. See, so the act of sitting down and analyzing your goals and what you're trying to do today, if you don't triage throughout the day, definitely in the beginning, at the end, then things are just going to become overwhelming and you're just going to stay in reactive mode. But by moving to a positive, proactive mode, you tend to be a better manager of interruptions and your priorities, and it doesn't feed your procrastination. Because once things get away from you and you feel overwhelmed, the psychology of it is that, oh man, and it just drains emotionally. It's hard to pick it back up and it's hard to be excited about what I'm going to do. Why? Because it's gotten overwhelming. And if it gets overwhelming by 10 o'clock, and if it gets overwhelmed by 2 o'clock, and if it gets overwhelmed by 4 o'clock, and tomorrow's overwhelming, and we're not even at Tuesday afternoon yet, then all that is just a built-in procrastinating that it's just hard to get ahead of all that. Prioritizing, analyzing, planning, and scheduling are together. All right. Then we get into the issue of interruptions. So it's interesting. I heard somebody say it this way: you don't manage your time, you don't manage your priorities. What you do is you reverse psychologize it and you manage your interruptions. And his reverse psychology was pretty good. He says the problem is that we consider interruptions like tornadoes, things that should happen in our life, because if we have a tornado every day, we're trying to avoid tornadoes. He says that is a wrong mindset. Interruptions is part of the game. So what you do is you manage interruptions the same way you manage everything else. So if you know you work in a very interruption mode culture, hey, you got 5 minutes. Hey, you got to have 5 minutes. Boom, emails here, emails there. And you don't build time to work on interruptions. Well, you're just kidding yourself. It's kind of like playing baseball and not liking to catch fly balls. It's like, I'm not good at catching fly balls. Well, then don't play baseball. You have to be aware of what you're surrounded with. So at work, it's just very high change oriented culture. And yet you build a very tight schedule of everything you say yes to. Yes, I'm going to do that today. Yes, I'm going to do that today. Yes, I'm going to do it. And everything is a yes, and you don't triage it well then you're not managing interruptions. You don't manage interruptions by avoiding it like a tornado. You manage interruptions by assuming that that's part of life because we're all so disorganized. Then the next one is meetings. You guys know how I feel about meetings. You have to have some really good meetings so you can get out and cancel the bad meetings. You cannot be held hostage to bad meetings. You guys know that's a key element. Be very strict. They have to provide an agenda. They got to provide substantial information as to why we call this meeting. It's got to be assigned tasks, follow up. Don't waste my time. And if you get caught in meetings that is just going nowhere, you have to do a process check. Okay, hey y'all, can we talk about this? And then try to bring some sense into meetings. Then written communication. In written communication, it comes down to the issue that time is wasted because we're all chasing what we think we all said to one another. I thought I said, you thought, and so what happens is things go into the ether, they don't get clarified in writing, and therefore we chase each other. We're constantly having to revisit things that I thought we said. And also because we're chasing each other a lot in meetings and the meetings don't go anywhere, we all then resort to a high degree of emails. The last three: delegation, procrastination, and team time. At the end of the day, if we don't protect this with good team time, if you are working on your time management, and I answer to Lydia, but Lydia does not recognize my time management attempts, or I don't agree with her time management attempts that she's trying to do, guess what do you think is going to be my efficiency? It's going to fall apart. And if I work very closely with Jim, but Jim is all over the place and disorganized, and he's got projects or he does things that impact me, then if we just simply say, hey, y'all, can we agree on some basic rules? Have them listen to this video that you said, well, you know, if we organize more along these lines, then that whole team time protects everybody. If you're in an environment where you're the only one taking this class, or you're the only one really trying it, it's going to take you a little longer, but it's still doable. The fight is worth the fight. You're fighting the habits. I usually have practiced these habits in companies where there was no commonality, no team time arrangement, and I had to practice on my own. And the challenge is everything may be falling apart, but in my world, I'm not going to live in that fire. In my department, that's not the way that we operate. Why? Because we are more time management oriented. So there's got to be a commitment. Hey, everybody, great job making it through this. Go to the next module. Let's get moving to the next levels. Good luck. And again, thank you for joining the program. Honored to help you.